I can't feel my pace and I'm with you. But I love you. But I love you. I can't feel my feet when I'm with you. But I love 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 you. Drop it into the traffic talk.
Thanks, Derek. I appreciate that. Welcome, guys. It's Tanya. Why are you laughing? Yeah, I don't know why Derek's laughing. I don't know. We'll stop there. By the way, I've been practicing my own beatboxing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, guys, remember that video? I did one in December where I thought I was doing pretty well in beatboxing, and then he refused to teach me anymore. So I've been doing a little bit of practicing. Maybe I'll show you what that's like. Maybe he'll think about teach me some more. What do you think?
Say no in the chat. Or say no in the comments.
Oh wow. Okay, great. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe he'll be impressed. Maybe he'll be willing to actually show me some more skills. If you guys drop down in the comments and you want to see another time where I actually beatbox and he's trying to coach me or something, let us know about that. Anyway, today we are going to have some good old-fashioned rants that have been building up inside of me that I thought would be helpful to kind of just put out there in the public, and we can all talk about this like civil human beings. The first one, I'm not going to talk about these exact issues, but I'm going to talk about things that surround these particular issues. So yeah, that's kind of helpful to state in the beginning, because I'm fairly certain if this video gets enough traction, then I'm going to get a lot of flame comments down below, which is fine. We can always talk about stuff there. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the issues surrounding the H&M thing that's happening in South Africa. So this is a bit of an old news situation now that's happened a while ago. And again, I'm not going to rehash absolutely everything, but basically, for context's sake, H&M, which is a clothing store, had an advertising campaign. In this advertising campaign, they had a black kid, who had a whole bunch of photos taken for this campaign. And one of the things that he was wearing a hoodie, it was a green hoodie, that said, "Coolest monkey in the jungle." And yeah, if you use that particular phrasing, it caused a bit of an upstir. Let me just first phrase these things, is that this is not, or was not, a campaign aimed for the South African market, right? That's also quite important for us to understand. That campaign, from what I understand, was actually done in Sweden, which is H&M's head office space. So the photo shoot was done outside of our country. And from what I also know, it was done for a US market. Anyway, so they had this black kid, who had the word monkey on his shirt, coolest monkey in the jungle. And of course, social media lost its mind and was accusing this of racism and accusing this of a whole bunch of different things. People were super upset about it. H&M freaked out. They apologized. They removed the article from all of its publications, well, the advert from all of its publications, and trying to kind of scrub the internet as much as it was responsible for, to say, look, we're sorry, we don't want to offend anyone, we don't want to imply racism, and so, you know, we'll get rid of it and we apologize. And that's kind of a fair statement. Let's talk about this first. So there are two elements behind this. So what then happened? Okay, this is part of the story that's important. What then happened here in South Africa is that a particular political party got wind of it, and they thought, no, this is terrible. H&M must be punished. We don't want them in our country. They went crazy. And while some of them have distanced themselves in their party from this whole thing, some of them haven't. And couple weekends ago, we had a whole bunch of people in the political parties' attire raiding H&M stores around the country. So not just one, but a whole bunch. And they went into these stores and they wrecked them. They just stuffed things up, threw things around, basically just destroyed the stores as much as possible. Apparently they didn't do any looting, although reports have come out that stuff was missing. So I hate you, I hate your stuff, but this is a really nice jacket, which makes no sense. But that's not what we're going to talk about. H&M was then closed. They closed all their stores in South Africa. In an announcement, they said, until the safety of our staff can be secure, until we're happy with things like that, and things have maybe calmed down a bit, we won't have any stores open. We can't have a repeat of this kind of thing happening. So they closed all their stuff. That was, like I said, a couple of weeks ago. That's not important. What is important is during this whole process, if you guys are familiar with the term Black Twitter, which is a whole bunch of people who use the Twitter platform but that are of African American, to be politically correct, or black people, and they use it to kind of have conversations. I don't really like the fact that it's fragmented and segmented in that way, but that's going to be another topic, so let's not get into that. Even in that space, there was a whole bunch of people that were going, guys, this is not a racist thing. This is not something that you need to be kicking up so much of a fuss about. Again, this is not in our market. Now, in South Africa, at least, the phrase monkey used for a black person is a racial slur. It's something that's going to be upsetting. And I don't doubt that's true of other parts in South Africa, in other parts of the world, but the South African market definitely has that as an issue. The South African world definitely has that as an issue, where we're sensitive about it. And that's almost actually what I want to talk about, is a hypersensitivity in situations like that. So regardless of the fact that probably H&M should do a little bit better research before they send things out into the world that can be misconstrued, there's definitely an element here where people have taken the opportunity and accused race where it wasn't actually a race thing. The mother of this child said, you guys are overreacting. It was just a photo shoot. It's fine. And it's almost as if we have this thing built within us, a subconscious bias in the South African landscape, and also probably in other parts of the world, but I'm talking as a South African, in the South African landscape, where everything is extremely racially charged. And again, as I say that, I'm aware of my current face color, let's put it that way, my skin pigmentation, which stops a lot of people from hearing me as I say it. But it really is something that we've allowed to be charged in our environment, in our world. We've got people, both white and black, who use this as a, this country, or, this is all racially motivated. Where simply put, not everything is racially motivated. I think we almost look for a reason, and this is one of those situations where we're looking for a reason to be upset. We're looking for something to fight about, and race is a very easy separator. Race is a very easy thing to fight about. And look, I don't have the answers to all of these questions, but I'm just highlighting the fact that we can't allow it to be such an easy separator. We can't allow something. Yes, there's past history here in South Africa. Yes, there are tons of issues that are still unjust and unfair. There are people from a white background that treat black people like rubbish, but there are also black people that treat white people like rubbish. And as a blanket statement, can we just stop treating people like rubbish? This isn't a white versus black thing. This isn't a black versus white thing. This isn't a Zulu versus Xhosa thing. This isn't an English versus Afrikaans thing. We should just stop treating each other like trash and start treating each other as humans. And that is a very key thing. There's, in our political climate, a purposeful, in my opinion, separation that's happening. Because if you separate people on racial lines, on language lines, on anything, it's very easy to manipulate them. It's very easy to control people if they are not united. And that is probably a pretty bold statement. But like I said, I was probably going to get flamed. So if this gets any traction, I'm probably going to have a whole lot of people in the comments, and that's fine. We can talk about it there. But instead of looking for reasons to be separating ourselves from one another, instead of looking for reasons to fight with one another, we should be looking for reasons to unite. And that's a key aspect. So yes, I'm aware that there are things that are reasons to be separate. There are things that we need to distance ourselves from. But there's a subconscious bias. There is a mental approach to almost find the ways in which we are different. And that's been programmed into us. And it's something that you have to be thinking through. To rather not look for how we are different, but look for how we are the same. I can give you an illustration of this. When you're talking to someone, and he's in some of my social circles, you'll have a conversation with them, and as you're asking questions, okay, what do you do? Where are you from? What are the things you're into? And it's almost as we're asking these questions, we're looking for things. There are things that, like, okay, we both enjoy video games. Okay, we both enjoy this. But something will come up in those conversations, and it's almost as if we're looking for it to be like, silly example again here. You eat pineapple on your pizza, or you like bananas? That's weird. That's okay, we're different. And that's a silly thing, that's a small thing. But it's almost as if we're looking for the ways that we are different rather than the ways that we are the same. Rather focusing on how we can move together in a united front, we look for the things that stop us from, joining forces in that sense, because we do things slightly differently. That's a very long rant. But the subconscious bias is definitely there, where we're always looking for an underlying reason to wage war against one another instead of uniting with one another. There is a whole other topic behind this, where I can ask you questions about how you are thinking in a subconscious bias way. And again, we can talk about this in the description, or if you guys have other spaces or you really are interested in this, I can do a proper video about it. But here's a simple example. In South Africa, I have an issue, let me use that word, of how we use the African accent, where maybe this is something that white people are flawed in. Yo, I'm gonna get so much hate, I think, in the comments. Okay, but the African accent, I'm not even gonna try and do it, but the way in which you impersonate a black person when they are talking, I find to be, that's derogatory. And I know that in the discussions that I've had with people, I know other people have agreed with me on this, we have it built in our minds, this is a subconscious bias that I'm trying to get through to you guys, that an African accent, or someone who speaks with an African accent when they're speaking English, is something we should be mocking, or it's actually the assumption is that they're not educated, or the assumption is that they're not intelligent. So that's kind of what I want to highlight here. And we see that, okay, I see that, I knew that and recognized it in myself years ago, where the African accent, that ish, that pausing, that heavy accent when they're speaking English, was in my mind for a long time associated with this guy doesn't know how to speak English, this guy must be stupid. Because, again, that's the background that some people come from. And I'm pointing it out in that space to say that's not necessarily true. Just your ability to speak English is not a measurement of your intelligence, right? French people speak good French. If I went to France and tried to speak French, I'm going to be embarrassingly poor at it. But for them to assume that I'm not intelligent because I can't speak their language would be unfair. The same thing is true when it comes to the African context. We have people from Zim who are doctors that are extremely intelligent but don't speak very good English because that's not their first language, and it's okay. That's just an example of a subconscious bias. And like, again, we can talk about this more in depth, and my goodness, as I could just standing in the middle of the road. Wow. Again, so that's just an example of a subconscious bias that I wanted to talk about. What do you guys think? How do you think you have a subconscious bias when you hear maybe an African person speak, maybe when you hear an Afrikaans person speak, or maybe you're from outside of this country and there are people who speak really bad German and you assume, okay, these guys don't know what they're doing. Let me know what you guys think are good subconscious bias or good examples of it, and how we kind of get around that. So my whole approach is I'm very hesitant to use that accent, and I'm very hesitant I'm very conscious of the fact that I need to filter my brain when I'm talking to someone to be like, okay, what is this guy trying to say, rather than kind of writing them off because they don't speak the same language as me. It's very arrogant, and it might be a Western thing, it might be an English thing, I think. But yeah, let's talk about that down in the comments if I can find it. If there's any flame comments, this might be difficult, but let's see how that goes. Talk about down below this ability to almost find reasons to be united rather than reasons to separate, and let's talk about what those reasons might be below. Okay, very quickly, the other conversation we're going to have is about the YouTube change of monetization, or the YPP program, the YouTube Partner Program. I'm not going to talk about this whole thing again because this happened last week when the news broke, and there are 1.5 million videos already. So instead of me trying to rehash everything, let me just summarize it. They've changed the program to you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in the space of 12 months before they will consider you for the YPP program. Before they'll consider to allow you to be monetized, and that is to kind of filter out these people that are creating accounts, getting 10,000 views, which was the original filter, and having payments done on that stuff to only find out that the content is actually rubbish, or in some cases even pirated. So they've now changed this up, and I'm not going to have a whole rant about this, but I do want to highlight what those aspects are. I personally feel that it is good for YouTube. I'm not going to stop doing YouTube because they've changed something that I mean, look at my subscribers, guys. Look at that number. By the way, if you're not subscribed, here's a good time to subscribe. See what I did there? My subscriber number, my views are nowhere near that target anyway. I'm going to create videos because I want to create videos. That's what this is supposed to be about. It's for fun, and I enjoy it. If you want to talk more about that, you want to talk about how things can be monetized, how things can work better, you can drop down below. We can talk about that. Again, someone else who's done a really good video on this here from the South African side of things is our biggest tech YouTuber, American, South African YouTuber, whatever he wants to call himself, is Brett. And I'll drop a link to his video about this topic down below, or up somewhere there in the cards if I can do that, and you guys can watch that. He talks about this in a very clear way, and in a very concise way. He summarizes it. I'm not going to rehash that. What I do want to rehash though again, and I'll do this very quickly, is when this happens, a whole bunch of YouTubers in South Africa freak out. They've been begging for subscribers online, in Facebook and on Twitter and all over the place, because I need to try to keep my monetization up. The numbers don't make sense. So again, I'm not going to get into it. The numbers don't make sense for people that were doing that. But what I did also see was this anger towards YouTube. Like, how dare they change things? How dare they move the goal? And I'm just going to make the statement, and this is what I really want to talk about, is once again this mindset that we have, which is essentially just really bad entitlement. We feel that we're owed money from YouTube. We feel that because I've made content, I can now put my hand out and say, pay me. And that sense of entitlement is prevalent across people, not just on YouTube, but it's something that is worth talking about. So again, YouTube doesn't owe you guys money. YouTube doesn't owe me money. It is the only platform that I can think of, there might be other ones, but it's the only platform I know that actually shares ad revenue with the creators that are on it. Facebook does not do that. They make a killing off of adding little videos, little adverts onto people's videos, but they don't share that money. There are tons of other places that do that. YouTube is the only one that I know that's actually sharing ad revenue. And it is their own money. It is part of the platform. It is part of how they've designed things. So if they decide to change the rules, they're more than free to do so, really. And it's somewhat unfair, and it just smacks entitlement when you hear people ranting about how dare they change things. People don't, this is going to be my statement, people don't owe you anything. You cannot demand things from people just because of how hard you've worked on the platform, on this platform. That's not what YouTube is about. YouTube, again, is not about making money. Yes, there are ways to make money. Yes, it'd be great if people giving you money. That's all great and fun and happy, but that's not the primary reason you should be doing this. And it's not the primary reason that you should be doing anything, is looking for what you think you deserve. Because really, I'm really being quite controversial. People, you don't deserve anything. Like, why can you just hold your hand out and expect people to give you stuff? That's just a really bad and irritating mentality in my own head. That sense of entitlement just boggles my mind. You work for what you need, you work for what you want, and yes, that's hard sometimes, sure, but that you can't just jump up and down and throw a little fit every single time you don't get what you want, or you don't think you're being treated the way you should be. If you don't like the way you're being treated, I've said this before, there are 3 things you do if you don't like the way things are going. You either talk about it and change it, if possible, or so you talk about it, you change it, you shut up, or you move on. Those are your options. Very simple. That's kind of my mantra. I've said it a dozen of times, and I'll say it again, but that's it. Stop feeling like you should be entitled to things. You're not entitled to anything. Okay, I'm going to try to get through this intersection. Give me a second. La, 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 la. Thanks, guys. Okay, anyway, we're off to work. This is a very long video compared to what I normally try and do. There's another person in the road, crazy person. Move. So I'm going to say goodbye now. So, thanks for watching this very long rant. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have things to talk about, or if you think this might be helpful to other people, please share. Share it with your friends. Let's see what they think about it. Let's talk about things down below in the comments. If you like this video, click the like button. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. Yep, that's what it's called. You can hit my face right now, and it will subscribe. Click it now. Okay. See you in another video. Bye.